among the glitz and glamour of the Las Vegas Strip, filled with the laughter and joy of a bustling crowd, an unimaginable tragedy was about to unfold. This is the story of the deadliest shooting in U.S. history, a haunting enigma that continues to baffle investigators and haunt the memories of those who survived. On October 29, 2017, 22,000 excited concert-goers attended the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival. From all over the states, people gathered in the desert to hear their favorite bands, relax, and take a break from everyday life. But what they didn't know was that behind the excitement of the Harvest Music Festival was a monster who was bringing 21 suitcases filled with guns and ammunition up to his hotel room on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. That someone was 64-year-old Stephen Paddock. Stephen had worked as an accountant and started buying real estate as an investment in the 1980s, including several small apartment buildings. At one point, it was suggested that his overall wealth was approaching $10 million. A seemingly innocuous man, Stephen had been married twice, had a long-term girlfriend, no children, and was an avid gambler. Because of this, Paddock was often in Vegas to gamble and enjoy all the luxuries that Vegas hotels put on for people they know will spend money in their casinos. However, leading up to the shooting, he was becoming increasingly frustrated that he wasn't receiving the treatment he believed he deserved from the hotels. Now I know where you think this is going. Okay, he was a gambler. So did he lose all of his money and hope in Sin City? Surprisingly, no. He didn't have money troubles at the time of the shooting, and although he had lost modest amounts gambling, he was in good standing with his debts and had enough money to keep living his lifestyle. On the day of the shooting, Stephen was seen playing $100 single-player video poker and accompanying the bellhop up to his room multiple times with suitcases. In hindsight, it seems odd that he would have so many suitcases for a weekend in Vegas, but in a busy hotel with different bellhops during the day, nobody noticed the large amount of baggage being hauled up to his room. So, where was his girlfriend while he was plotting this horrific act? Stephen has sent her to see her family in the Philippines and wired her $100,000 to purchase a house. According to her, she thought this was him breaking up with her, and if that's true, that's one hell of a breakup gift. Right before the shooting, Stephen ordered room service and made a strange request for the hotel staff to leave the buffet cart. The staff did think this was odd, but went ahead with the request, not wanting to disturb Stephen. Then, Stephen put a camera on the cart outside the door and blocked the fire exit. The purpose of the camera was so he could know if anyone was coming to stop him on his rampage. Shortly before 10 p.m., country music star Jason Aldean was performing for a pumping crowd at the concert. Meanwhile, up in Mandalay Bay, security guard Jesus Campos was sent to the 32nd floor to investigate an open-door alert. Strangely, this door alert had nothing to do with the monster on the 32nd floor, but was just another guest door that had been wedged open for too long. But when Jesus arrived on the 32nd floor, what actually caught his eye was an L-shaped bracket that had been screwed into the door and door frame to the staircase. It was at this time, at 10:05 p.m., that Stephen Paddock broke through the glass of his hotel room window and took aim at the innocent concert-goers below. Jesus began reporting his findings to his dispatch center outside the hotel room when he heard rapid fire coming from within room 135. Stephen could see the guard through his camera and fired 35 shots through the door, where one hit Jesus in his right thigh. After Jesus was hit, he took cover in the alcove between rooms 32-122 and 32-124 and immediately informed the hotel by radio and cell phone that he'd been shot. Though, strangely, at the time, he believed he'd only been shot with a BB or pellet gun. At this moment, maintenance worker Stephen Schuck was on the same floor to fix the door that Campos had reported as being barricaded. Luckily, as Schuck made it to the 32nd floor, Jesus quickly warned him to take cover. They both hid in the alcove and called the police to report the shooting from inside the building. Paddock, inside his room, was still firing his weapon rapidly out of his bedroom window. Down on the grounds, it was mayhem. Some people were confused and ducking in place, while others were running for their lives. The police had no idea where the shots were coming from. Conflicting reports were coming across the radio. Because of this, they weren't sure if the shots were coming from someone in the festival crowd, the Mandalay Bay, or the nearby Luxor. Back up in the hotel, 2 officers were closing in on Paddock. They had made it to the 31st floor and could hear that the shooting was happening from above them. They rushed up to the final floor to see Jesus injured on the ground. He pointed the 2 police officers to room 135, and then he and the maintenance worker fled the scene to get medical attention at the instructions of the police officers. While they waited for backup, the police evacuated the surrounding rooms on the floor. Meanwhile, Paddock was still shooting down at the people below. Between 10:26 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., 8 additional officers arrived at the 32nd floor, breaking down the door from the stairwell that Stephen had screwed shut. As the gunfire had stopped at this point, they joined the other officers to help other guests on the floor evacuate. After 11:20 p.m., over an hour after the initial officers arrived on the 32nd floor, police breached room 135 with explosives. It was then that they found Stephen dead on the floor. He had died of a self-inflicted gunshot that he fired through the roof of his mouth. The hotel room was scattered with a total of 47 guns, magazine cartridges, and a modified bump stock rifle, which allowed a gun to simulate rapid automatic gunfire. The police then set another explosive at the door to the bedroom, thinking maybe they had an accomplice, but once they saw the bedroom was empty, they radioed in that they had secured the area. As the sun rose in the aftermath of the Las Vegas tragedy, the city awoke to a profound sense of loss. Among the 58 lives taken too soon were individuals from all walks of life: mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, friends, and colleagues. Each had a story, dreams unfulfilled, and loved ones left behind. On top of this, 500 people were injured, and thousands more were traumatized from this horrific event. In the days that followed, acts of kindness and compassion emerged amidst the sorrow. Fundraisers were organized, scholarships were established, and foundations were created to honor the victims, ensuring their legacies would live on. But it left the world with one big, unanswered question. Why? Why did Stephen, an otherwise unremarkable man, do all of this? There are theories about why he committed this crime. Some related to his grievances with Vegas casinos, others cite his alcohol dependence. But, as it stands, we still don't know what led this man to commit what is America's most deadly shooting.